Good day, everyone. Again, we are back, in conversation with Rahul Kulhari, our co-founder and data science head at Edge. Hi, Rahul. How are you?
Hi, Ananya. Thanks for having me. I'm great. How are you doing?
Yes, it's great, getting back to doing a short video interview with you. And this time we are going to do it on generative AI, a topic which is, very, very frequently spoken about in the last couple of weeks. Numerous articles, numerous blog posts, but very less outlook on what it is all about. We are here today. We want to know everything that you can tell us about generative AI. So
Sure.
let's
Happy to
begin.
talk about that.
Great. So let's begin.
Sure.
So, Rahul, can you provide everyone an explanation of generative AI and shed light on why it has gained immense popularity in recent times? And if you could tell us more highlights on it or data points that support the trend, it would be great.
So, Ananya, I would say, see, generative AI, or they call it as the Gen AI. I would not say it's not the new from the last few weeks or months, actually, right? Work was happening long time, actually, right? And some serious work has happened in the last 5 to 6 years, and where we have seen the evidence of that. And you must have also heard about fake videos coming up, right? And some other fake images coming up, right? And some text or fake news coming up, right? So we have seen those use cases actually, and it's part of the, I would say, artificial intelligence, where you use the machine learning models to create the content such as text, image, audio, and video, actually, right? And we have seen that from the good amount of times, a benefit of generative AI, right? And how does it work, and what kind of benefits bring on the table, and how it will mimic the human creativity and provide more value to the humans and to the industries as well. Like, I think when it came out long time back, or I would say as a 5 6 years back, right, there were very limited research or work was being done into this space, right? That time there was one type which I would call it as the generative adversarial network. They call it as the GAN, right, which was being most specifically used into the image space, or video space, where like you used to have a like as part of your neural network, two neural networks to compete against each other, where one network, you can say that they used to call it as the generator, who is responsible for generating the new content or the new information or the new data, where the another network called discriminator is responsible for determining whether the information or the data raised by the first network is real or not, right? So they used to fight against each other, actually. That's how the use cases of like fake videos or the deep fake came into the picture. And the other side, I think what was happening into the other side of the two kind of evolutions or innovations were happening. One was with respect to the data, right? And the second was with respect to the algorithms or the mathematics or research around that was happening, which was making it happen. Because if I remember correctly, like right now we are talking about, or people are talking about the image creations or tools like chat gpt or stable diffusion and all those pieces. But chat gpt is running on the gpt 3.5 or 3, actually. Like long time back, gpt first came, right? And the similar amount of times Google brought the BERT, actually, right? And that's where like this work was happening good amount of times. Companies were occupied in the research with making these techniques more advanced, and the same time acquiring more data and coming out with the innovative solutions, actually, right? That's where fan around during the time of when GPT-2 came and GPT-3 came, and models of transformer model came into the pictures. It got that fame that time. But I think the kind of fame it got when ChatGPT got delivered, came out or released, I think that was huge, actually. But I think it's a again a reason because of the innovations and acquisition from the data perspective and the algorithms or the research into the algorithm perspectives. Actually, that's where companies are making breakthrough, right? And companies are making things happen. At the same time, I think the one piece which people are not realizing, it's also about the hardware, the need of the
Okay.
GPUs to train these kind of systems in the use space. Because see, all these generative AI are highly complicated. As in the AI language, they talk about the number of billions of the parameters that exist, which shows the kind of learning it has, actually. The more number of billions of parameters it shows, the higher intelligence. And that's where companies were making it work, utilizing the more hardware and the infrastructures and the GPUs to train and the bigger models, so it can capture the more better understanding, actually. right? That's where work was happening from GPT-1 to GPT-2 to GPT-3 and Chat GPT and GPT-4. And the same time, other companies were making also work into the same space actually.
So, if I could put it that way, the recent discussions on Chat GPT, Bard, and other AI generative images and all those is the reason why generative AI has now just boomed like anything. Is that a reason that you would give?
Yes, right now, yes. Right. Previously, very limited people were doing it, but the kind of effectiveness and efficiency these AI systems like Bard and Chat GPT and others are bringing on the table, right? Like perplexities and all those. I think yes, they because of the kind of a more efficiency and more generic use cases and the way they have built applications around it and the developer interfaces has helped industry to adopt faster and help normal people to adopt this and not being only specific to the research scientist or applied scientist or very limited people in that particular area actually. And because of this easiness of the interfaces and efficiency and effectiveness of these technologies increase the adoption of these tools actually. That's why if you look at it, the kind of a time, I think I was reading some data somewhere actually, the to acquire some data open the chat gpt has taken very less amount of times comparison to TikTok or Netflix or these companies actually to reach these number of people, right? That's what it I would say was surprising to me. Okay, this kind of things can happen at this kind of speed was very crucial and for these technology to be adopted. So I think it was supposed to happen. It happened now. For example, if I refer to that research that data points, Instagram took 2 years, 6 months to capture those many number of the active users actually, where TikTok took 9 months, ChatGPT took only 2 months, Spotify took 4 years, Uber took 5 years, 10 months to reach I think those number of the users. ChatGPT took only 2 months actually. That shows that that is the time they took to reach 100 million monthly active users. Think
Yes,
about
yes.
it.
Chat
It
GPT just became a craze, right? And it also, and other relevant apps that came up after that brought up a very interesting discussion, or a point that everybody started discussing is the future it beholds. Is it going to take jobs? Is it going to enhance jobs? Is it what are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? What is the future? There's been so much of talk about it, but I've barely seen anybody give the crux. There are very few articles online that tell people the relevant advantages or the disadvantages. So what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts? What do you say are the advantages, disadvantages? Is the discussion that's going around, is it going to enhance careers, or is it going to destroy careers? Which is the one that you support, and what is your opinion about it?
So see, if you talk about the advantage and disadvantage, and is it gonna replace people or it is gonna take the job? See, I'll tell you frankly. To give a snippet, when calculator came into the picture, when calculator was developed, and again, this is the information which I've read, right? So when a calculator came, people opposed it. There was a strike by teachers actually somewhere across the, I think in the US or some other place actually, and it was interesting for me to see that as well. Okay, like why calculator gonna made your life easier, right? If you look at from that perspective. See, I think irrespective of generative AI is there or not, I would say if people doesn't adopt the technology or don't become ready for the future and they don't upskill or reskill, I think their jobs will be lost actually, or they'll be losing the job. If I speak from the generative AI perspective, I would say it may replace certain jobs actually. And when I say replace certain jobs, which means the tasks which were happening under those jobs will be replaced by the AI, or the kind of competencies which were required to do those jobs will be reducing actually, which means you can add, and that's why human who take advantage of these technologies will be far better than the human who doesn't take it. See, and which also another signal it shows is the people who's going to take the advantage of generative AI, which means they believe in the upskilling, the reskilling, and the time they are learning from that, they're adopting the new tools and the new behavior actually, irrespective of them being in that particular domain actually, which means they're making themselves familiar about the other tools or the technologies coming into the picture, right? Which is a sign, it in itself shows that okay, those people will be relevant, But now adopting is definitely shows the factual okay, they are going to take more advantage than the people who doesn't take it or who really says okay they will not be able to do that. Obviously replacing is, that's where lots of other processes, the task or the competencies come into the picture. You may not, let's say previously you were requiring certain expertise people, now you may not need the expertise people, but you will still need the people who can make work with the tools like chat gpt or other tools, or other generative AI will be coming into the future, and work with them to make things easier or possible. I think that would be the, I would say, the advantage of the generative AI. It will make life easier, right? And the kind of people you will be requiring, you don't require that kind of expertise which you were looking in the past. The other side, if you talk about, see, that's the reason, another reason which you do see, because of these advantages and certain disadvantages, the kind of investment happening into this space actually. Google put the money into Anthropic, if I remember correctly, right? Salesforce has put the money into the lots of companies actually, right? Salesforce has a generative AI fund where they have put the money, right? And there are other funds which are putting the money into the generative AI companies because they hold the value and the kind of benefit they will bring you on the table and the positive impact. See, they, obviously with each tools and technology, disadvantages are going to come. Like fake news is that the content which is generated, is that harmful or not actually? Who's looking at that, right? That's where if you look at the CEO of OpenAI is saying into the in front of the US Senate that okay, I think that's what he said, or I'm referring to the some other talks. See, obviously regulation will be required to teach or these technologies to be to be creating certain harm actually, right? Which means you need to have certain regulations, or the people who are building the tools around it has to use it in a more efficient and non-harmful way. The people who has the intention, nobody stops them. Like recently I was reading a news about that dark web, right? People talk about dark
Dark
web
web.
actually, right? Somebody has built the dark GPT on the based on the information available in the dark web actually. Now who stops that, right? And the kind of a content being generated by the generative AI, it depends. I think people has to take the responsibility, and if it gets complemented by the regulations, I think it will be good coming out of the different countries and the different departments of those countries. I think will be very crucial for them more into the beneficial uses of the generative AI than not beneficial way. Otherwise, it becomes a problem. Like, how do you believe or trust the article which is getting published on social media or even in the newspaper? Actually, how do you take the authority or authorization of that? How do you trust that information? It's going to be critical because think about one time I think deepfake video came out of the picture. Unless you do a study and you figure out okay is it a fake or not, how do you trust that information is going to be very very crucial. And forget in the different kind of, it can create different kind of biases to the people actually. That is very very dangerous. But I think having the regulations and more ethical uses of these kind of technologies is very very crucial. That's what companies and the humans has to adopt.
So, while you were answering this question, there was a point, a very interesting point that you made, that while it may kill some skills, it will innovate new ones.
Right.
Right. I think that's a very interesting takeaway. You may not need a person with a particular skill, but you will still need a person who can use that skill to build something else.
Right.
Maybe
Think about
if,
it.
if
See,
I'm
think
taking it.
about it. Well, if I can
Can
give
you
one
give us an
example.
example?
Right.
Can we
Yeah.
discuss this with an example?
So look at this example. People, everybody started using the chat GPT. Now, me or you or anybody else can write the English language and ask the information from the chat GPT. But suddenly you did see a need of the, or you saw a new title across the industries called the prompt engineer. Now, when the people are going to interact with these kind of tools and technology, obviously there is no single path to interact with these technologies actually or tools, right? You have to find the best possible way, and to find the best possible way, you will keep try different possible information or input to these tools, and according to that they will behave and you will respond according to that, and you will really try to tweak that. Obviously with that your brain, human brain is working, so you're developing your problem solving and logical thinking skill as well, right? Which is definitely happening. But at the same time what you will find out, and you will develop the expertise, how can you ask the financial question and how can you ask the medical questions, or how can you ask it to create the creative content for you. That's where you will require some idea, but I think machine will help you to get more and more better understanding if you act in it. For example, let's say if you tell machine to act as okay, can you act as a product manager and tell me how do you think about this capability, or how do you develop this kind of capability as part of this product in this particular industry with this kind of context. machine will ask you or chat gpt will respond you, then you will ask another kind of questions and you can go back and it will help you to get some understanding around that topic, which will help you to make your problem solving and logical thinking as a skill very strong. The same time, it will help you to get certain expertise across those area even you are not into that. So obviously with that, obviously danger come into the pictures, like one of the another theory which is going on around it, you will see the new YouTube videos coming out. Now I don't know, you don't know, and I will not know that YouTube video is real or not, or it's not printed from the script which is generated by the Chat GPT actually,
All right,
right? So
exactly.
and
This is
who
one
is the
thing
right
that
influencer?
I was trying to ask this question. How do they maintain authenticity, right? For a layman like me, how do I understand the content that I'm seeing in front of me? How authentic it is.
So
How's that being tackled?
So, see, generative AI, or if I speak about, if you're talking about the tools called ChatGPT, right? Let me talk about the one tool called ChatGPT. See, they do have a one problem of hallucination. See, they're learning the patterns from the data and trying to make the best possible sequence or the new data points for you to respond back based on the input which you have passed and the history or the context. Now, obviously, it comes with the problem of it's gonna create certain content which may not be real. Industry or the research has coined the term called hallucination. It's hallucinate actually. So like most of the times you will see this happening with the data points actually. At any point of times, if you ask specific data related points, like some stats or years of kind of that information, it will make mistake actually. Sometime it when you're generating certain information and when you test that information, it's not going to turn around to be right actually. You will not find it actually, right? For example, let's say you can, okay, can you give me a link to, can you give me, obviously they say it should not be used in this particular way, but still people does it. So let's say if you're gonna do it, it can generate the Amazon link product, Amazon product link may not exist actually. It may exist it may create a link of the LinkedIn profile which may not exist. It may create certain stats which may not exist actually. Now, what you can do, or that's where companies are trying to solve the problem actually, or researchers are trying to solve the problem. One basic way they are trying to solve the problem is sourcing it. See, otherwise, it's very easy to adopt these tools, but ChatGPT was trained on the data till September 2021. No more data further than that actually has been put into the ChatGPT. So think about it. It doesn't have the information from the last 2 years actually, approximately 1.5 or 2 years. But that's where to solve the problem of hallucinations, companies are trying to solve the problem by sourcing it, which means if you go on the Bing GPT or if you go on the Google One Bard, it will try to give you the sources actually, which shows when it is making the decision, it is picking that information from those sources actually. That is one way to solve the problem. So that's the technique called grounding actually.
What is it
It's a
called? Sorry?
grounding, Grounding. Grounding.
Grounding.
So that's how they are trying to solve the problem of hallucinations actually by providing these extra information or using that. Obviously, with the time we will do see more research happening to solve these problems actually because it's an early phase right now, and companies will try to solve that problem in different way. Or researchers early solution is this one by showing the source and by solving the problem through the grounding actually when they check with the more efficient way.
Very interesting. You said that generative AI has been there for the last couple of years, 5 to 6 years to be precise. But the talk about it, around it, if I could say, the technology has matured right now. So, which industries are expected to be early adopters of this technology? What are your thoughts on this? Which are the industries that will get into it, implementing it?
Sure. So I think I'll say, see, one evidence which was seen long time back actually was the if you went on the Google Gmail actually, it was able to generate the response to you actually, right? Or it was able to complete the response to you actually. Google adopted it very some time back actually, right? Now, if you talk about it, there were other industries where it was used actually. These kind of things were, I would say, the movies and the video games actually. Obviously, they were not visible or directly visible. Like I can take example of Marvel movies and all those, right? Definitely, it was used in those kind of areas. If I remember correctly, there was a Alpha Fold, which was a research came out or by the company called DeepMind, which is owned by Google actually, where they were able to generate the new protein structure actually, which gives a lot of advantage from the medical research perspectives to diagnose diseases, develop new treatments, and do lots of advanced research actually. So which was great actually. So, but I think from based on the recent exposure of the chat GPTs and stable diffusions, what people are able to do is people are able to take advantage from the content creation perspective. Like, that's where I'll take the example of, see, there are one company called copy.ai. In 2 years, got the 10 million ARR, right? What does it do is it helps you to generate the documents or descriptions or email campaigns based on the information actually, right? And similar kind of company, competition of copy.ai, or maybe in the different dimension perspective, is Jasper, which has the $80 million and good amount of the customers into that space actually, right? So the kind of exposure these tools or these companies has to the customers, I think is fantastic, right? And which shows okay the kind of adoption which these companies are having. So obviously you will see in the content creation, then you will see in the product design, and then you will see into the what I can say into the medical and financial perspective, and then you will see like that's more from the AI perspective. I would say the way companies will use these generative AI for the data augmentations actually, right? And developing their AI systems according to that. Because acquisition of the data is a very extensive task. What if you can use generative AI to augment the existing data set or acquire new data based on the existing data points? It's fantastic. It helps you to move to the market faster, actually, right? Where you're spending good amount of money and time to acquire the data, that time is shortened, so you can get to the market fast, actually. That's where I would say that copy.ai got the advantage actually. And see, that's where like people are writing the books, people are writing the product descriptions, people are writing the PRDs, people are generating the new images, videos, and people are solving the problem of decisions like in the financial perspectives. See, enterprises has, I would say, one good use case is the enterprise search, actually, right? And see, organizations has the good amount of data actually, right? In different forms like emails, conversations, right? And other contents across CRMs, HR systems, and different kind of ERPs actually. If you take the data and see what kind of benefit which you can draw actually, you can take that context which can help you to generate the email faster, document faster, response faster, connect better, communicate better, collaborate efficiently, and get the task faster. It's going crazy, right? So that's where we will also see the enterprise search growing actually with the time around it. These are the industries which I do see. See, I would say it is not limited. I think it's the more it will be approach taken by the companies to adopt these tools actually. The companies who take more time will be losing the advantage from competition who will be using these. That will always be the case. Now we come to discussing things about edge. Can you elaborate on the potential utilization of generative AI at edge? And if there are specific use cases that can demonstrate its capacity, if you could tell us a bit about all those. Sure. So I think from the edge perspective, we are using the generative AI, and it's not new. We are using from the some time. People are using ChatGPT. We were using long time back. I'm not talking about ChatGPT, but we were using our generative AI models from the good amount of time actually, right? And see, to talk about specific use cases, right? I would say to enable the capabilities like search, helping you to discover the right in the candidate discovery and matching. We were using the generative AI actually, right? Because it helps us to generate, it helps us to understand job, it helps us to understand resumes better, it helps us to understand small component of it, which can help us solve the problem of candidate discovery and matching. Then think about it, there are small problems which users have actually across the products we have at Edge, like job description generation, right? So we used to have a capability called IJD. That's where people can give certain inputs and we will create the job description for them. Then we used to have the capability called intelligent Boolean query. So normally what does people do into the recruitment space actually? They write the Boolean queries and they go on the different portals, actually job portals or different social portals like Naukri, Monster, Dice, or LinkedIn or Indeed or any others. Find the discover the candidates based on that Boolean query which they will putting down, which we used to generate, and that's where the generative AI can be used actually. Then there are many other capabilities like where it can help companies and not only like I'm talking from the HR perspectives actually. It's very critical from that angle. We are looking at the aids to build the capabilities to solve those problems for those companies from the areas of talent acquisitions, talent marketplace, and the talent management, and using the power of generative AI, right, to solve the problem of the users, provide a more natural language interface, or more the interface in such a way people can interact in a more efficient way or very easy way to get the answer of certain questions or need of the certain informations actually, like finding the mentors, like finding down the proficiencies of the peoples and finding certain stats. These are the areas where it can be used actually. If I summarize the point from the age perspective, candidate discovery and matching, our capabilities like upskilling, reskilling, IJD, intelligent Boolean queries, we are using the generative AI actually from some good amount of times. See that I do see the more potential utilization from the data acquisition perspective actually of generative AI. Why do I say that with data acquisition? Think about it. We are going to deal with the data, which is we can't put it outside actually. Obviously, we will be building our technology with we will be fine tuning models on that actually because we can't have that kind of infrastructure to the hardware the kind of big companies have. With that limited, obviously we'll be building our models, we'll be fine tuning the models, and all those we'll be doing. It will be opening the lots of use cases to us actually. But more specifically, one use case it will open is opening already is data acquisition, where I can acquire data faster, so I can build my algorithms faster. And where if I go to the subject matter experts to acquire the same data points, the cost is higher and the time is higher, which is I'm able to reduce and like get the data for the new industries or get the other data to build specific AI capabilities, the product capabilities. I'm able to do that faster, able to build those models in house and get those models outside as part of the product capabilities to the users actually to solve the problem. But definitely candidate discovery, matching, and then like candidate engagement or employee engagement related, upskilling, reskilling, career development opportunities, lots of use cases.
So that is from the edge perspective, right? From an industry perspective, how does it contribute to enhancing HR processes and applications? We've spoken about a couple of them. Could you tell us the top three areas?
See, it depends on what problem we are solving in the HRTech. See, HRTech has the different kind of problems actually across different products or the segments like talent acquisition. Talent acquisition was the problem of finding the right candidates actually. And see, from finding the right candidates, now that language is turning to different tech, right? Problem is becoming sourcing. Problem is becoming engagement actually. And then obviously on top of that, finding the right candidate is the problem right now. Now for sourcing and engagement, you definitely need to have the generative AI actually, or they will play the crucial role across the workflows or across the process of the engagement. Like how do I engage with Ananya or how do I engage with Rahul? This has to be personalized on the different context of the company, different context of the kind of background of the companies or the work or competencies or the environment which you are coming from, then I actually, right, which will help you to connect better with the companies actually. So that's the engagement actually, right? Sourcing perspective, writing very specialized personalized email actually, or personalizing, reaching out to the people in that particular context or the areas. That's where I do see a huge need of the generative AI. Now, if I speak from the product talent marketplaces perspective, right? I would say like generative AI providing the crucial interfaces for employees to connect with the companies in a more efficient way will be is a huge ask actually, right? Because that will help them to find the right mentor, that will help them to find out that understand the company's culture better, that will help them to connect with the companies better from the jobs perspective, from the skills perspective, competencies perspectives, and the same time what it will also do, it will also help companies to design their competencies, their skill frameworks and role frameworks or career architectures better, where they were taking the help of the other companies in the past and taking huge amount of times, that time will be reduced actually now because of the use of the generative AI having that kind of expertise already in that space actually. Right? And then the one area where it has a huge scope is upskilling and the reskilling perspective, right? Which means finding out those personalized areas and generating or creating the personalized content for you versus me actually. Even let's say we want to learn both the same skill sets or the tools or the technologies or the skills or competencies, but the kind of a material it will create for you versus me, I think that's where will be very important. And I think generative AI can play a huge important role there actually for me to in the enterprise perspective actually. Right. That's what I can say. Then I do have obviously more areas to talk about, but these are the things which I can say in the HRTech perspective. It can add huge value.
So it's also about the ask, your ask, that is how it will work.
Right, definitely.
Now,
that's always the case.
So now there's Chat GPT, there's Bard, there's similar other applications coming up. We every day on LinkedIn, on Google, or any other platform, we see tons of apps that are doing the same thing. What is their future? How many of them will survive? Every day there is a new one that is popping up. Every day you see one tool or the other, you will read about them. So What are your insights on the future of such tools? And what types of tools do you believe will prevail and will make a significant impact? And which are the kind which will fade away eventually?
See, obviously, the way OpenAI has built the Chat GPT, the way it has built the like developer interface for developers, right? And the other companies has done that is like really really great, and that has increased the adoption of those tools. And because of those, you do see that huge amount of the AI tools coming into the market with respect to these actually. See, obviously, multiple people are doing it based on the solving the same problem, not seeing any advantage actually. For example, if you have the document question and answer tools, you will find out multiples actually, and they are solving the problem in one way or another way, but they are almost similar. They don't want none of the tools has the moat over each other actually, and you will see the huge influx going forward actually. Right, it just has opened the door actually, because the kind of research is happening and the kind of innovations are happening. I think you will see the different kind of trend over the time, but and different kind of adoptions, but more than this actually for the tools actually, because the kind of progress we as humans are making, or the researchers are making across the AI is really really great. Now, see that what is the future of these tools? See, I think people are looking at the short term perspectives actually. See, right now what people are doing is people are building the tools, they're providing it and making some money out of it actually. And obviously, OpenAI is happy because they are getting paid actually, or they're getting users actually. See, what will happen is most of the times I would say the people who are see one thing which we do need to see. None of the companies has the moat actually, right? Because they are, and I'm talking about generative AIs actually, because they are right now they are trained on almost all similar kind of data actually. Wikipedias and the other muses and all those kind of similar kind of data. There is no unique data actually. Because of that, one thing is happening, companies are changing their terms and conditions. Like, for example, a Stack Overflow and Reddit were providing the data openly to anybody in the past. They have to change their terms and conditions. People can't openly use their information anymore actually, because data is the moat. Data is the moat. Otherwise, like if you are also using Google and I'm also using Google, what is the use of that? Like what how big will that moat be actually? Or if I'm using the Wikipedia data, you are also using the Wikipedia data. It will be very difficult, or that moat will not be huge actually to get the success or future around it actually. So that is one. So the companies who will be owning the data, right, or acquiring the very personalized data or proprietary data will be successful going forward. And the tools who will be making work happen in that direction. Obviously, you're solving the use cases, but through the solving the use cases, you are acquiring those proprietary data, and then you are fine tuning, and then you are solving the problems and opening the different categories and the boxes. Then you will be relevant in the future. Otherwise, you will not be relevant. So there were other multiple reasons because of the cost actually. See, people are not realizing right now, they're looking at the cost perspective. See, cost will be huge the time you get into that. The cost to run these tools, the cost to build these tools are very, very high. The time, I think in the long term, it will cost high. So you will see lots of tools going down actually, or they're telling people to buy the license or something like that actually, right? So that's where we will see, but more the the company who will focus more on the proprietary data acquisition and fine tuning on their data. I'm referring to the generative AI points only for now, right? And
Yeah.
then obviously we do see the problem of company which solve the problem of the context actually, like Anthropic released the model which can take I think 1 lakh keywords as a tokens as a context, where ChatGPT can take 8K to 32K as a context, where Anthropic can take 1 lakh tokens, something like that actually, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Which means you can pass the one books actually, because one token is equal to 0.75 words, right? So think about how many words which you can put, and you can ask the question, so build the capabilities around it. But I think the company, the way will build it, and they will acquire the proprietary data set, and the companies who will solve the problem first will be relevant, others will lose actually, right? You will see, I think right now you have not seen the video specific actually. You have seen the image for image stability diffusion, or people normally talk as the mid journey actually, when they are able to create the images based on the text and all that, and ChatGPT or Bard for the different these kind of textual information. People will see more work in the video specific actually, which has not been seen. I think once it's gonna come up, you will see the more craze happening that, because that's gonna solve the different problems.
Yeah, the other day I was, you know, looking around the web for different options or what are the other kind of generative AIs, I came across a very interesting portal that said you give us a context and we will create a video script for you in less than 30 seconds.
Yeah,
Right?
so think
Mind
about it.
blowing, mind blowing.
Right, think about it. The same time, if I give you the video, there is a I forgot the studio name. There is a new studio has come. I forgot the name. I don't remember it. But what does it do? It, let's say we are having this conversation. You can replace me with that certain objects from their technology. Like it can be alien or it can be anything else, and it will act according to the way I'm acting. Actually, the way I'm using my hands and all those. Actually, so I think you will see that happening. It will be more around, I would say, the videos are not getting generated yet actually. And see, the another reason is also the way these technologies has been built. The licensing of these technologies are also doesn't give the much comfort to the people of the being users or the doing the research in certain ways, which will be opened upon. And I think that will be opening the door for the more use cases and more areas as well. It's kind of starting of these kind of tools or the technologies actually. They are innovating actually, and they will be. You will see the more innovation happening. I think it's just that we recently has discovered the new era. That's all.
It's mind boggling. It's crazy. It's left all other trends behind. The only trend you can see right now is this. Right? I was seeing a video the other day, and some other video on LinkedIn only. I saw a posting. This guy was talking. He had two frames, both his. And he's talking and he's explaining what is there in the other frame. And it was eye movement, right? This guy was closing his eyes. The other one was looking at the camera. This guy was winking. The guy is looking at the camera. So it's like a amazing thing, right? You can do anything. You might be sleeping behind a live meeting, but your eyes are wide open, right? Everybody knows you're in a meeting. So tomorrow, maybe we can. There could be a time that we can generate this meeting with just a few keywords and we can get a video out of it.
Right.
That could be a prospect, right? But what are the kind of regulations that are underway? Because this
So,
will need a lot of discipline.
the regulation perspective, obviously, companies are putting the regulations is one way or another way, right? And I would say the regulations from the generative AI is no perspective not mature enough. But from certain AI regulations, European Union has already put down. Then New York law has already put it down actually, right? And other countries are putting the regulations actually. For example, if I speak about with respect to the let's say HR, right? Any tool which is making automatic decisions about people has to be regulated actually. It has to pass regulations actually, like your GDPR and like other certifications actually, right? And what do they test is it does not create any kind of biases around it, right? Like the kind of hiring happens between two different groups actually, right? Let's say the group is male and female has to pass a certain criteria actually, right? It should not be more males are getting hired than females actually, or more females are hiring better than more than males actually. There has to be criteria. It's called the four-fifth rule. That's what is being checked actually. And there are other conditions actually. But now, see, you have seen the recent OpenAI CEO Sam Altman going in front of the US Senate actually, right? I think it will open the need of the new regulations actually, because I don't think any company would like to take the responsibility of being the user, right? Obviously, they can put certain control into those things for the certain harmful contents or harmful informations, and they may not choose to respect or they may choose to do that. But I think you require the larger regulations to control on the decision made by these kind of tools actually. Think about it. I'll tell you how. Let's say ChatGPT generated a script about financial advice, and somebody took it and put it on make YouTube videos, and people are going to watch that and going to start implementing or investing according to that. And let's say that doesn't work out, who takes the responsibility? Something happens to the people actually. It's a very dangerous situation to be in. Or let's say somebody creating certain kind of content and generate certain images or videos and put it online. It creates certain harmful to the people actually. Then who takes the responsibility? Right. True. So that's a regulation will be definitely must require. It's early around the AI tools. Regulations are already there, but I think because we are inventing the new technologies or the algorithms and the work, I think they'll be more regulated actually, right? And think about it when you are having discussion with the chat GPT, what are the chances it does not expose the PII information actually, right? Or any other confidential information around it actually, right? And so it's just that there are See, with having the lots of possibilities and pitfalls of these new technologies, you need to have the certain regulations around it to license AI companies in a certain way and regulate AI companies, AI products according regulations actually. Otherwise, they who stop to make the balance or who regulate or who creates the balance actually. Otherwise, companies will keep hiring the male persons or they will keep hiring the female persons actually, vice versa, or they will hire from the different diversities only or ethnicities only. Actually, if you need to put, and that's where the New York or European regulation says they have put it to control certain measures. But I think we will see more regulations coming out in the market. Right now, there are something which will take care of some of that stuff. I would say not all of them, but I think you will see more regulations coming out down the line to reduce the harmful impact of AI over the people and the,
yeah, and much needed too. Much
yes,
needed too, as you
to
said, right?
safeguard
Right.
people and society and
Absolutely.
world actually. I think it's very much required. That's why think about it. If you go back to the people think AI is, certain people expect AI cannot be wrong actually, and I have seen those people. They expect AI is not going to be wrong. Now, if they are going to think and see if like they develop these kind of technologies and think about it, not having the right knowledge and the right understanding, the kind of impact, harm they can create actually.
Right.
Now, see, they have to understand it's a technology, right? And it's AI. It can go wrong actually. That's where companies has to be vocal about that. I don't know why companies are not vocal about it. Companies have to, because they don't have the control in their hand completely. And right now we are in a situation, okay, company people has to be open about that. Okay, AI is not going to be 100% accurate or technology is not 100% right. It can go wrong and companies has to be more vocal about it so people can create the use cases, capabilities, processes, the workflows, regulations according to that to mitigate the risk.
Right. Great. Rahul, I think this is one of the most in-depth interviews that we've done for generative AI. And, I'm sure this video will solve a lot of their queries, their thoughts, their idea about what generative AI is all about. And, we hope that the regulations soon come in so that everybody is safeguarded and the technology can reach newer heights in the future,
Right.
benefiting all of us.
Yeah.
Right. Great. Thank you so much, Rahul, for your time and goodbye. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.